Hello, hope everyone's hanging in there. I believe this is the 6th week now for the UK lockdown. I've certainly started to struggle a little bit with my mental health, especially over the past couple of weeks, but that is okay. It's a normal situation to feel anxiety and to feel like we're all suffering a little bit is quite normal, so I have to try not to be too harsh and remind myself that it is justified and just keep putting into practice what I've already learned, which I'm going to be continuing to share with you guys over the next few weeks. But yeah, let's get to it. So this week's video, it made me do it. I'm going to be talking about the habits I picked up on over the years that were driven by anxiety and the impact they were having on me, and how I've learnt to deal with them. Just a quick one, I get a lot of confidence out of knowing people are interested in the content I'm sharing, so if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. It motivates me more than you realise as I try to keep uploading these videos weekly. As I've said before, there's many things that cause anxiety for me, and that's why it's essential that I don't add to it unnecessarily, because very often it is actually unbearable. As the anxiety started to grow, so did the habits. So it started off with small things like wanting to know the alarm light in my car is flashing after locking before I walk away, and then this might have developed into checking that, plus making sure the windows are shut, but maybe checking them more than once. The steering wheel lock, and before you know it, I had like maybe half a dozen things I'm checking just for one situation, just to lock and walk away from my car. So quite a lot of time spent doing that and obviously worrying about it. Another situation I can recall is so as it kind of started off with small things like the car checks, it starts to sort of develop and ramp up a bit, where into sort of more kind of paranoia perhaps. And but I can recall these workmen knocking on my door once and asking when I'm going to be heading out, because they're going to be shutting the power off and they're trying to work out if there's a better time to do it. And obviously I didn't want to tell them anything. In my mind it just alerted me straight away that these people may not be who they say they are, and they're looking to find out when I'm going to be home so they can come back and rob me. And when you think back to it, you think, Christ, that is genuinely what I thought, and that could be the case, but it's very, very unlikely. So why am I putting myself through that and spending so much time worrying about it? So it's very easy for these checks to grow and turn into something else, and kind of sort of mutate, I guess, into something more serious, and that's going to affect me if I allow it. So what happens in all these scenarios is the anxious mind puts the idea out that I really need to do these checks, or I need to be wary of these people, otherwise something really bad could happen. So I think I'll just go along with this thought and trust it, and then that's one less thing that I have to worry about. What's essentially happening when I do this is the anxious or worrying thought is being cut short by my actions and not being allowed to run its course. The problem with this is it gets stored away in an anxiety pile, ready to come back again later, perhaps when I'm feeling anxious over something else, which could be something completely normal to feel anxiety over, or even something that I'm in control of. But now I've got the added weight from before. So when I've got many things contributing towards it, some of which aren't necessary and don't need to be there, it can very much build up to the point where I feel like there's no getting rid of it. So now that I had this knowledge, how did I start to use it really and put it into practice? So whenever I would experience anxiety, I just started letting it come and go at its own time. Whether that was by not overthinking an anxious thought, just letting it be there, or not giving into the idea of checking something, so something more physical that, like the checks I mentioned earlier, so trying to resist from doing them. So in the car situation, when I locked my car, I just pressed the button and tried just to walk away. And what I found was that the anxiety actually fades away pretty quickly on its own, which is a lot better way of dealing with it than to subside to it and give into it and start to do what it's telling me to do, basically. Now I did have to be a bit careful with this because people with anxiety can be prone to obviously panic attacks. So if there was things that were affecting me a lot, then I'd have to build up to it. I couldn't just stop doing the things that were having a big impact on me. I'd have to start small, and so for example the car alarm was actually a relatively small thing to start, so it was a perfect point to begin trying this. So yeah, I just started to lock it and walk away, and I did find, like I just said, that the anxiety that was there after I walked away, it may take a few minutes, or it might take 10 minutes, but it did fade away. So I've let it come and go in its own time, and I haven't interfered with it. So doing this, I actually found released a bit of pressure, and when I next experience anxiety, it's less impactful and less sharp, so it really makes me feel like I'm working towards being carefree, and it's very important that I reward myself for this, because it's a huge achievement. I'd learnt something to do, and it was working. But like in these kind of situations, like now with the lockdown, it's very easy to start picking back up on these habits, and I've done it myself, and lo and behold, the anxiety started to get worse again. So be a bit mindful, try and help yourself, and try putting these things into practice. It's all about rewiring my brain, because I've been doing this a long time one way, and it's led me to this point where I'm now suffering with anxiety and depression. So I'm trying to rewire my brain to sort of tune it to a different channel, and to start thinking along a different sort of wavelength, and it does work, so definitely look at what it is you're doing on a daily basis. I think that's quite important. If you are struggling, what are you doing, what could be contributing towards it, and start to address it, and hopefully some of the techniques I'm talking about in these videos might be of use to you. Okay guys, thanks for watching. As always, please subscribe, like, drop a comment, whatever it is you want to do, and I shall see you soon. Cheers.